Welcome to another Pub Sports Radio NHL Play of the Day for Sunday, August 16th. I'm Ian Cameron. We're going to go to a big matchup in the Eastern Conference first round. Series is tied 1-1. This game is on NBC at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. It's the Philadelphia Flyers and the Montreal Canadiens. Philadelphia minus 130. Favorites here in Game 3. The total 5 shaded to the over in this one. And for the Philadelphia Flyers, they will certainly be looking to get the bad taste of Game 2 quickly out of their mouth and erase that from their memory, because if you've been watching the Philadelphia Flyers this season, and in particular since the start of the year in January, which is really when this Flyers team started kicking their quality of play into high gear, they have played outstanding hockey since January. They were 13-1, Philadelphia, in 14 games prior to Game 2 of this series against Montreal. They were 13-1 in their last 14 games going into that game. And what we saw in Game 2 was probably the worst game they've played in months. It is the worst game they've played in months. Maybe their worst game of the entire season. They were outplayed, outchanced, out-hustled, really dominated from start to finish. Montreal with a 5-0 shutout win in Game 2 to even up this series at 1. They just weren't sharp from the very beginning. You could see that Philadelphia didn't have any spark, any jump in their skates. Montreal did, and you got to give Montreal credit. They lost Game 1, 2-1. They felt they played good enough in that game that they could have won it, so they were looking to bounce back. They felt they had a better game in them, and if they had played just as good, if not better, they had a chance to win. But they also were emotionally charged up in Game 2 for another reason. It wasn't just to try to tie up the series after losing Game 1. It was for their head coach, Claude Julien, who was hospitalized due to chest pains. Kirk Muller, Habs' assistant coach, taking over in the interim as the head coach behind the bench in Game 2. But clearly it's a team that respects Claude Julien. They appreciate what he has done as a head coach, not only for this team, what he's done in the NHL as a head coach. He's had a really, really good head coaching career, Claude Julien, and you could tell the players had a little extra emotion, inspiration, if you will, to win Game 2, not only to tie the series, obviously, but also for their head coach, who, of course, had to leave the team and was in hospital due to health reasons. So you could tell they wanted to win that one for the Gipper, so to speak, and they played like it. They were flat out awesome, Montreal. Give them credit. And you got to give them credit, too, that they finally got their power play going. It's been a source of consternation all year for the Habs. 0 for 12 they were with the power play against Pittsburgh, but they are 3 for 7 with the man advantage so far in this series, just moving the puck better. And all of a sudden, after having a dismal power play all season, they have seen that power play come to life here in this series against Philadelphia. For the Flyers, again, they lost every puck battle, every race to loose pucks throughout Game 2. They didn't get a lot of sustained pressure on Carey Price. Carter Hart, the Flyer goalie, was pulled in that game, but none of this was really his fault. I don't think any of the goals that went in on him were quote-unquote bad goals. He was basically hung out to dry by a team that was just flat and listless from the very beginning in Game 2. I'd expect much better from the Philadelphia Flyers here tonight in Game 3. And, of course, there's also a little storyline coming out of Game number 2 in terms of that Montreal power play I just mentioned. The number 1 power play unit from Montreal was sent out on the ice toward the end of the third period of that 5-0 blowout win for Montreal in Game 2. And a lot of the Flyers didn't really like that, didn't really appreciate that. Claude Giroux mentioned it, and certainly Flyers head coach Alain Vigneault was made sure to point that out after Game 2, saying, quote, "We embarrassed ourselves enough in that game. I don't think we needed to get embarrassed more, so I'm going to make sure we're very aware of that next game." So you put it all together, and look, Montreal, we knew this was going to be a pretty evenly matched, pretty close series. It's 1-1 so far. Game 2 was clearly a bet-on spot for Montreal. Clearly it was, because Game 1, they played well enough to win but didn't. They were looking to bounce back. Their head coach just leaves the team because he's had to go to the hospital for chest pains. And you could tell they just rose their game. They were dialed in from the very beginning. I think tonight, though, now it's Philadelphia's turn to have a similar response, the likes of which Montreal had in Game 2. Maybe Philly not win 5-0 type of response tonight in Game 3, but certainly a better game in the Philadelphia Flyers. And they have shown themselves, the Flyers I'm talking about, to be a character team, a team that, faces adversity, has a bad game and is more than capable of bouncing back. You look at the Philadelphia Flyers ledger and track record since January. They don't have a single 2-game losing streak since early January on their resume. The Philadelphia Flyers enter this game tonight a perfect 8-0 in their last 8 games following a loss. So they're 8-0 in their last 8 tries in games coming off a loss. And that tells you all you need to know. This team has that ability to, put up a bad game behind them and play a whole lot better the next time out. Flyers didn't have any of their big players step up and do anything in Game 2. It was a very, very quiet night for Claude Giroux, Sean Couturier. Travis Konechny did get injured, actually, foot injury in Game 2. He hasn't been ruled out yet, but questionable to play tonight here in Game 3 regardless. I like the Flyers here. I think it's a big bounce-back spot for them. Carter Hart, after getting pulled in Game 2, look for him to shine tonight. I think he's going to have a terrific performance for the Flyers in net tonight. And I don't have much of an issue, in my opinion, laying the -130 moderate price here. So Pub Sports Radio NHL Play of the Day for Sunday, August 16th, we're going to go with the Philadelphia Flyers -130 against the Montreal Canadiens. That's my Pub Sports Radio NHL Play of the Day. I'm Ian Cameron. Thanks for watching. Reminder to check out pubsportsradio.com every day for great content, and I'll be back with you tomorrow on Monday for another NHL Play of the Day.